So today we are splicing and fixing hoses. This is a newer hose and it's spliced right at the end, or it's cracked right at the end, where you could just take the end off, cut it right here, replace the end. I've already done that, honestly, and I need this one this long. So I'm going to just splice it instead. What you need, a knife of some kind, preferably sharp, a hose splice, and the clamps, and a screwdriver. If the rubber's cold, you may need a bucket of warm water or a torch. I'm using a bucket of warm water today because my husband has the torch. So first thing you're going to do is just cut the end, or cut where it's broken. Newer hoses don't seem to last as well. Just the rubber is a lot softer. It does make them a lot easier for splicing though. If you have an old hose that is really, really hard rubber, totally worth splicing, it's going to take a lot more to get the splice in there. The newer hoses, if you've ever had the opportunity to use old hoses or find old hoses and then compare them to the newer hoses you'll find they're just softer. They kink a lot more. I am constantly frustrated with them, honestly, because I'm perpetually breaking them. Alright, so we got it off here. Not the cleanest cut. It's a very interesting rubber on this one. It has a lot of fabric. You're just going to take this end and shove it in there. If you need to, you can dip it in some hot warm water, especially if it's cooler and the rubber's soft. If you're having to do this in the summertime, you probably won't need any of it at all because the rubber's already warmed up, soft and pliable. Start at an angle. I do usually about a 45. Kind of rotate and rock it in there. And then you're just working it in, basically. And this one's folding over on me. Fantastic. We'll start with this end. Newer hoses that you will find are somewhat easier, so I've got it started now. And you're just going to shove and just keep working it in there until this is all the way up to this joint here.
Mom, are you going to fix this hose?
Yes. So you might have to give it a twist. Sometimes twisting as you're going works. Sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, the rubber on the newer hoses is so thin. It's nice because it is usually warms up easy and is easy to cut. But it also, if you're noticing, this is starting to bend back here. An old hose like this, it's really stiff. I can put a lot of pressure on it without it bending. Newer hoses just seem to break off. So then I've got this most of the way. There we go. You're going to take the clamp piece 1, clamp piece 2, and just kind of buckle around here, and that's too big of a clamp. Then you're going to take your screws, set them in, set the next screw in, and then you're just going to squish it on down. And this is the wrong size clamp. Apparently I should have looked at these clamps before we started, because this clamp is too big. It fits perfectly around the old hose. The new hose does not. So hopefully I've got two different ones here. I think this one will work. Alright. These are pieces that I've stolen off of other hoses around that the hoses just gave out and weren't able to hold water, or they were just too brittle anymore and just kept breaking. So this is a problem you can have when you're using used parts. But it is one thing. It is way easier to go ahead and just do this, especially if you have a whole bunch of parts laying around, than to constantly be running into town to the store to find new parts. So this is actually gonna work. There we go. And you're just gonna screw these on tight. This clamp should not wiggle if it's tight. If you're using an older hose, there will actually a lot of times be a gap here between these. This is actually fitting really snug and tight. I can't twist it. And yeah, you're just gonna screw this down as tight as you can. Be careful so you don't break them off. And you're just gonna repeat that with the other half. And then you have a hose again.